All right, people of his presence, I want to throw one more thing out there. On Sunday, Jolene had brought up self-control. She was like, I hear a lot about self-discipline and stuff like that. I've heard those kind of things before. But what about self-control? And, again, dwelling on the Holy Spirit, I said we can do those things too because of the Holy Spirit living in us. And the thing is that the fruit of the Spirit, right? Self-control is a fruit of the Spirit. Love, joy, peace, patience, goodness, kindness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. And I have to run through all of them because, I was brought up in the church. There's a Sunday school thing, right? So you have to run through all of them. But, all the first 8, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness. We go, hey, those are fruit that if I hang out with the Holy Spirit will produce those things in me. I don't need to work for them. But when we get to self-control, we often think that we are supposed to build those in ourselves, right? That, man, I need to build self-control. But that's not the way that fruit is born, right? And we don't accept that for any of the other fruit of the Spirit. So why do we expect that for self-control, right? And the thing is that it says that if we follow the Spirit, that we won't gratify the desires of our flesh because the two are at war with each other. And so I don't need to work and grunt and squeeze out the fruit of self-control. Just like I don't have to do it with any of the other 8. I simply need to be with the Holy Spirit. And why? Because when I know that I'm walking with the Lord, I said in that last video that it's about belief that He is who He says He is, we are who He says we are, and He'll provide for us the way He says He'll provide for us, or He cares for us the way He says He cares for us. When I know those things, He's my good Father. He calls me His good child, and He will provide and protect me and give me an identity and intimacy, right? When I know those things, then I act in accordance with those things. And so I don't need to go chasing them. Just like Jesus, he said, no, I don't need to turn these stones into bread. I don't need to fall for that. I know I'm a son, right? I don't need to throw myself off to see if my dad, I know my dad will protect me. I don't need to put him to the test. I don't worry about it, right? And then lastly, I don't need to bow down and worship you to get an inheritance that I've already been promised. It's my inheritance, right? So good for you. You get to hold on to it for right now, but it's my inheritance, right? Jesus doesn't argue with them and say it's not yours, that you don't have it. But he also doesn't get into this game of thinking that Satan gets to keep it. He goes, he's in his mind, he's going, man, that's my inheritance. I get it. I'm not worried about it. I don't need to worship you. And so when I know that, when I know the faithfulness of the Lord, then I don't need to drum up self-control. I go, look, I act in accordance with the fact that I know that He's my good Father. I worship Him. I pray to Him. I talk with Him all the time because He's my good Father, and He calls me His good son. And so I don't need to try and act like I'm His good son. I don't need to go help people and grunt it out. I don't need to do any of these things, all right? I don't need to work for my inheritance. I don't need to wonder if I'll be protected. I don't need to wonder if I'll be provided for. None of that stuff, because He is who He says He is. I am who He says I am, and He provides for me the way He said and cares for me the way He says He cares for me. And I can just trust that. And that produces self-control in me. Why don't you go do this thing that, why do you think it's so bad to go do this thing? Well, you know what, man? If it wasn't in my nature to not want to do that, I might go do it, but it's not in my nature to go do those things. So I don't want to go do them. It's not my identity, right? I'm not a bear, so I don't want to stand in a cold river and try to catch fish. I'd rather just go buy it from the market. No, I like fishing too. But but it's not in my nature, right? So the same thing, it's like I just don't want to because it's not in my nature. And at the same time, I do want to go do these things that I know the Lord would do because that is in my nature. And more so because I know that's where my Father is. And if that's where I know my Father is, I want to be with my Father. I want to be hanging out with him and doing the stuff he does. And so it produces in us self-control. Hanging out with the Holy Spirit produces in us self-control that we don't have to grunt for and stress for. It's just like the other fruit of the Spirit. And lastly, not only is it like the other fruit of the Spirit, but here's the thing is that the Lord, most of the things in the world, they want to control you. They want to take over. But the Lord doesn't want to control you. So many people are like, Lord, just do this and take this from me and all that stuff. He doesn't want to control you. The Lord doesn't want to control you. What he wants is his idea of a perfect world is actually for everybody to be able to control themselves. That's it. And in order to do that, we need to know he is who he says he is. We are who he says we are. And he cares for us the way he says he cares for us. All right. God bless you. I love you guys. Have a great day.